Hi, everyone. It's Allie at Heart and Soul Connected. It's really nice to be with you again today. I'm going to talk today about something you may never have heard of before, unless you're a friend of mine on Instagram, where I am Flaneur du jour, which I made up. Flaneur being what I'm going to talk about. Du jour is like soup du jour. Flaneur of today, the flaneur of today. So, but I do want to talk to you about it because it was a fascinating thing when it first came out, and how people who were so rich they had nothing better to do spent their days flaneuring all over. If you were a woman, you were a flaneuse. If you were a man, you were a flaneur. And I'm going to explain those concepts to you now. So, the 19th century was a real transformative time for France, and there was rapid industrialization, urbanization, because we're into the 1800s, and so that's the 19th century. Cities like Paris were expanding at an unprecedented rate, and there was a lot of overcrowding, noise pollution, a sense of disconnection among people, and people moved from rural cities into the bigger city to find work in the factories and so on. And traditional community structures were very disrupted. This left many people feeling isolated and like lost in a sea of faces. So if you lived in a small town growing up and then I plopped you in the middle of New York City at, let's say, 5 p.m., walking down the street, it would blow your mind. I mean, it would be something you were totally not used to. But imagine it in this period of time, because there was a lot going on and these people had never seen anything quite like it, especially industrialization. So this period posed significant challenges to individual people and the way they interacted socially. The flaneur emerged as a unique figure, someone who not only navigated these changes, but also found a way to observe and comment on them. In fact, people wrote about people who were flaneuring, as a matter of fact. At their core, they were urban explorers strolling through the cities of Paris and some of the other bigger cities, observing it as life unfolded. They often expressed their thoughts in art and literature. They also were characterized by their leisurely pace and their ability to blend into the crowd, and what their keen eye was for detail. Those that could afford to would do this the whole day. And when I say they are walking at a leisurely pace, what I'm saying is they were walking their pet turtles. They were walking aardvarks. They were simply spending hours walking in the city and watching. Pre-TV, right? It was their own way. And if you were a flaneur that was an aristocrat, you had nothing better to do. You get all dressed up. You might have your parasol if you were a lady, or a bumbershoot, or whatever it was that men used at that time, their top hat, and they walked around. And there were a lot of people out there painting and writing and watching, and they were flaneurs, and they watched other flaneurs out there watching. To be a flaneur was to embrace a certain lifestyle, one that valued curiosity and deep engagement in the urban environment. They frequented cafes, theaters, and parks, and absorbed the culture and the vibrancy of the city. This did extend somewhat into the early 20th century. And if you're reading books that were written around that time, or you watch a movie that's a period piece, let's say, you will see these folks just simply walking around, mulling around, going through the park, looking at the swans, this is how they spent their day. This is what they did. They had other people that did the work at home. Not everybody was an aristocrat, but if you were, you surely could take time to do this, and to work was kind of ugly. You work? You mean you work? So they saw themselves as part of the cityscape, and they detached themselves as well to critique things that were happening in society and the changes that they were seeing. And, I don't care what generation you're in, you always have to complain about the one that comes next, at least a little bit, because I remember when this happened. It's sort of something that older people tend to do. And I don't even mean old. I mean, like, your 20-year-olds will say it about teenagers. Your 30-year-olds will say it about 20, like that. The Flaneurs' role in society was multifaceted. They were not just passive observers, but active participants in this cultural and intellectual life in Paris. Later on, there would be an influx of many, many more artists that met in cafes and spent time together discussing things, but that was more into the 20th century. Although I'm sure these people met in cafes and talked too. Why not? You got nothing else to do. You got the whole day ahead of you. So why don't you just get dressed and go out and walk as slowly as possible all through the landscape? Through their writings and art, Flaneurs reflected a changing dynamics of urban life and captured the essence of modernity and the human condition. They did see the things that were what they expected to see in the human condition, and also things they didn't expect to see. One of the most pivotal moments in the history of the Flaneur was the impact on literature and art. And Charles Baudelaire wrote in his seminal work, Les Fleurs de Mal, and it epitomized the Flaneur's spirit, weaving the experiences and emotions of city life into poetry. His work didn't just reflect reality, it also influenced how people saw and interacted in those urban environments. So it was sort of a manual for people that were maybe gobsmacked at what they were seeing. They had never seen anything like this before, or never had been in environments like this before. The influence on literature and art cannot be overstated. Writers like Walter Benjamin and Guy de Maupassant, and artists like Gustave Caillebotte, and I hope I'm saying these right because I'm not French, drew inspiration from the Flaneur's perspective, creating works that continue to captivate audiences today. And I do have to tell you that very, very often my students read Guy de Maupassant's work, and also Walter Benjamin's in some of my theory classes. The Flaneur's insights into urban life and culture paved the way for all of us to enjoy modern urban exploration and how we think about cities today. Many of us don't like it, but we do understand why. Usually we don't spend time there if we don't. But there are some people, particularly younger people, when they're breaking away, that I can't even say it now, flourish in cities, and they go out and they enjoy the urban landscape, much like a lot of people enjoy going backpacking and camping and doing things out in more rural areas. The emphasis on slowing down, observing, and engaging with the environment feels more relevant than ever in our fast-paced world. How many times have we been told that we need to slow down, put our feet on the grass, sit around, enjoy the day, smell the flowers, look around, see what you're missing by not doing so? The legacy still lives on in modern-day Paris, where the art of wandering, aka strolling, and observing continues to inspire both locals and tourists. If you were to go there, you would be one where you're walking around the city in a very, enjoyable way. The Flaneur's impact is undeniable. It leads us with a profound appreciation for the beauty in the everyday and the importance of not only traversing through a city, but experiencing the city and the flavor of the city that we're walking through. I like to think that, and I wrote my master's thesis on this, that the modern day Flaneur is the one that also navigates the pathways of the internet and spends time moving from place to place, observing, and maybe clicking and moving into another place. Nowadays, you can really see anything that you would like to see here on the World Wide Web. If you want to go to the Louvre, you can. The Louvre is online. it's not the same experience, but it is more of a modern day flaneurs. So just know that everything is cyclical as well. And the fact that there are a lot of people who really have navigated back into the city and enjoy city life and the way the city moves, the flavor of the city, and the rhythm of what's going on in every city, and how that creates meaning for those people doing that at this period of time, is a fascinating study in the human condition, just like an airport. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.